Shalom, shalom, shalom. Starting off, all praises, honor, and glory, it goes to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rakak Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles, double honors to the elders of Great Millstone. Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Barakathum to the hopeful elect. Shalom, shalom. It's the brother Taziyar Bayamin from the GMS Kansas City Church. And today is going to be a lesson entitled, Even in Folly, Be a Warrior. Okay, even when you're in your folly, because, hey, we like to say out here, prophet mode. We not always in prophet mode 24/7, where you just, cussing people out, bringing out precepts, going into that lamentations, mournings, and woe of the scriptures. Outside of that, we have lives, we have women, certain activities brothers enjoy doing, but even within the realm of you having your downtime, we still have to remain warriors. All right, which means hey, you still got to be on point, still have to be aware of your surroundings, and ultimately be ready for anything, man. Whether if it's beating a nigga ass, or you gotta flee, whatever one, fight or flight. You gotta remain a warrior in those circumstances, despite the folly, man. Because I ain't gonna put that brother info out, but brother had an incident over the weekend which got handled, but just that alone is inspiring this lesson. All right, because no matter how much sauce you got in your system, how much you've been drinking or whatever, man, no matter what you got in your system, you still want to be cognizant to where not only you could defend yourself, but if needed, you can flee the circumstance, man. All right, so brothers, you don't need to be white girl wasted, tore up from the floor up. I mean, if you at home, yeah, like ain't nobody gonna put rules on you at your own house. But I'm saying, like, if you're gonna go out and you're gonna do certain things, you want to exemplify temperance. Temperance and moderation. Which that don't mean you gotta just have like one beer per hour. But like I say, you still want to be in your right mind, man. All right, we still want to be in our right mind. It says, Galatians chapter 5, verse 22, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law, right? So like I'm saying, you shouldn't be in this spot, tore up from the floor up. All right, you don't want to be so messed up as to where you don't have a good idea about what's going on. And we know how, people that are, drunk in public, they don't have too much consideration for what's around them. But us, being the wise men of the Spirit, I mean, yeah, you got things going on. You got all kind of stresses in life. So, when you get the time, you want to relax, man. But we got to understand that these demons will look for any opportunity to test the men of the Lord, man. All right, whether it be a demon hopping on your woman to do some stupid shit, a demon hopping on a nigga, a demon hopping on Esau. They're gonna do whatever viable options there is, to get you out of the spirit, man. And so you don't want to be so lit or so turned to the point where you make the wrong decision, man. All right, so like I say, I'm not gonna put that brother information out, but it was a situation where a brother was out amongst himself, hey, and a nigga tried to test the brother, which he ended up handling the situation. But the lesson from that is that being sober, because when the scriptures say be sober, let's just get it. 1 second. All right, yeah. So when the scriptures say, this is 1 Peter chapter 5 verses 8. It says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour." So when it says be sober, that don't mean like you just can't have no drink. You know, you can't take no shots, you can't sip no beer. But what it means is that don't get lost in the sauce, man. Especially when, you know, we don't have our garments on. That's when you truly gotta be sober. So like I say, you gotta have a good understanding of your surroundings, where you at, and really, you know, watch these niggas, man. Watch the crowd you in. I'm not talking about of like people you hang out with, but I'm talking like people within a certain spot, man. Watch how people is interacting, man. You know, notice if somebody is looking off or feeling off, because you know when niggas literally go out, niggas will literally go out just to start shit with somebody. All right, niggas will go out with a stank face, with a fucking attitude, and stand in the middle of the spot, and then get mad when, you know, somebody step on their shoe or something. Well, nigga, you in the fucking way. All right, but you know, being observant. You know what Jake say? Reading the room, man. All right, you don't want to be too in your folly to where you're not aware of your surroundings. And so, you know, the title of this lesson, even in your folly, you got to remain a warrior, man. So you got to understand that even though you may be 3 or 4 shots in, if a situation called to it, hey, you might have to put hands on a nigga, man. Now, we not out there looking for trouble. We not out there trying to start fights, because the scriptures say, you know, if possible, be peaceable with all men. But, you know, if the wrong nigga did the wrong thing, you got to know within your spirit that you are capable of handling business, man. All right, you just don't want to be shit-faced drunk in public to where, you know, people taking advantage of you. You know, you got bitches that ordering drinks on your tab. Somebody, you know, took your wallet, or you fucking lost your wallet. You know, you lost your keys. You know, I'm speaking of minor things, but even in major things. You know, even in major things, what happens if what happens if you know, a few shots in and Esau come in the door, start rounding people up? You gotta be able to get yourself together and make whatever moves you gotta do. All right, so you know, we just can't ultimately drop this wisdom when these garments come off. Even when we amongst ourselves, we gotta, you know, remain circumspect. You know, remain looking at your surroundings, and ultimately remain a warrior, man. A warrior is not one that's always looking for a fight. You know, the warriors are the ones that know how to react in any given situation, because sometimes things may not call for physical reactions, man. All right, sometimes, you know, you be at what it say, soft answer, turn away your wrath. All right, and once again, you gotta you can't be too lost in the folly to where, you know, you lose that wisdom. Because what happens if there's a circumstance where, you know, you could have resolved it with words, right? You could have resolved it with words, but the liquor, you know, the fucking Henny demon got the Henny demon in your ear saying, you know, why don't we just beat the fuck out of this nigga right now, man? Alright, but you know, once again, you gotta be cognizant enough to know your next move, man. Because nowadays we in a time where, you know, the penalties for mistakes are more severe. You know what I'm saying? Penalties for mistakes are more severe. Let me actually give one precept here. This is 2 Samuel 22 verse 23. It says, "As for the Most High, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord Yahawashi is tried. He is a buckler to all them that trust in him. For who is the Most High, save the Lord, who is a rock and save our God? The Most High is my strength and my power, and maketh my way perfect." All right, he maketh my feet like hinds feet, and setteth me upon my high places. He teaches my hands to war, so that a bow of steel is broken to my arms. Right, and hey, that's what the wisdom of Yahawashi do, man. You know, I did that little post camp lesson. You know, the wisdom of Yahawashi can teach you how to break a foot and how to break a foot in a nigga ass if the situation called for it. Hey, I'm being straight up. So the same way the wisdom can be used to give you the right words to resolve a situation. We know that you know, in this world, some things is unavoidable. You know, some things you do try to avoid when it comes to these niggas. But hey, the situation may call for a nigga to get his ass whooped, man. And hey, but being real, the spirit of the Lord can show you what you need to do to fucking, you know, break your foot off in a motherfucker, man. Especially you niggas, man. Alright? So the spirit of the Lord can be like, you know what, go ahead and hit him with a right hook, duck, and then fucking knee that nigga in the face, man. And then you do that exact move, you had that nigga on the ground, man. Hey. That's what the scriptures say, brother. 2 Samuel 22:3, it says, he teaches my hands to war, so that a bow of steel is broken by my arms. Thou hast given me the shield of salvation, and the gentleness hath made me great. Thou hast enlarged my steps under me, so that my feet did not slip. I have pursued my enemies and destroyed them, and turned not again until I consumed them. I have consumed them and wounded them, that they could not arise. Yea, they were under my feet. For thou did gird me with strength to battle. Them that rose up against me hast thou subdued under me. Right, it say thou hast girded me with strength to battle, man. So what that mean? That mean Yahawashi, he gonna give you the courage, he gonna give you the moves, he gonna give you the right counter punch, first punch, counter punch. He gonna give you all that, man. If that's his will. It say, for thou hast girded me with strength to battle. Them that rose up against me hast thou subdued under me. Thou hast also given me the necks of mine enemies, that I might destroy them that hate me. Right. So yeah, Yahawashi can also deliver these wicked motherfuckers into our hands, man. And you know, we consider ourselves the judges. So sometimes we might have to execute, you know, a little what Jay say, we might have to execute a little belt to ass. You know, we might have to execute a little ass whooping before the Lord come with that Jacob trouble to really, you know, get these niggas in line, man. But for whatever it is, you know, the right option is gonna be there, man. You know, you gotta listen to the voice of the Lord. So you just can't be, you know, so lost in the sauce to where you think you're doing the right thing, but you're doing something out of the spirit, man. So, you know, this is just a quick lesson. Lord willing, is edifying. All praises, honor, and glory, it goes to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, double honors to the elders of Great Millstone. Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Brakathum to the hopeful elect. Shalom, shalom.